attempt to get people away from the National Guard and from the Marines who are stationed there in front of the federal building. Ari.
Yeah,
so if you're just joining us, we're going to be covering two different protests today, right? The continuation of the Los Angeles ICE out of LA protests, right? Which started about a little bit more than a week ago now. And the No Kings protest, which is a protest against Trump on the day of his military parade, his birthday military parade, in every city except for D.C. Why except for D.C.? Because Trump threatened the protesters if anybody shows up to protest his big day. All right? He literally said there better not be any protests. He didn't say there better not be any riots. He didn't say there better not be any violence or disorder. He said there better not be any protests. That's the kind of country that we live in now, chat. We are an empire in its twilight with an authoritarian madman doing his best to consolidate power. Right? That's what you're seeing. That's what the invasion into LA represents. And that's why he's doing these, these kind of shit right out of the playbook of an authoritarian country. We already watched the Trump parade and compared it to other dictatorships and decided that, yeah, they got some riz that Trump just doesn't have, right? If you're gonna do a military show of force, right, you gotta drill your soldiers. They gotta be perfect, right? They gotta march in unison and everything. And the United States Army just isn't built for that. The United States Army is the largest fighting force, is the largest military force on the face of the planet. That's why they call the United States a global hegemon, right? That means that nobody, is close to us, right? With the exception maybe of China, but that's, still even compared to China, right? And we compared so when you are a global hegemon, you don't have anything to prove. You don't do military parades because you're not trying to impress anyone. You're not trying to scare anyone, right? Everybody knows what you're about. And, it's not great when it comes to the United States, when it comes to the United States' military intervention in the world, when it comes to the war on terror, what the United States has subjected Iraq to, what the United States subjected Afghanistan to, and the ultimate failure of those missions, just like the failure of the mission in Vietnam, just like the failure of the mission in Korea, right? You've got Trump adopting the optics of a much weaker country, which it looks like the United States may be. The way that Trump is running things, the United States likely will not stay a global hegemon. And that's why I say that, I greet you here at the twilight of empire. Let's go. Let's see what's going on in LA today. This is
Jacob, we're keeping our cameras on you, and I'm glad you and the team and the people there are safe. Give us your context on what we just saw and how that relates to the day. Was that more
pretend it's a
sort of interaction than you?
Wait, how do you Gnocchi protest?
That's the first that we have seen.
Or Gnocchi.
Aggressive.
How's it pronounced, chat? Gnocchi?
Control tactic, other than the National Guard and the Marines pushing people off the steps of the federal building there. Obviously they deployed the flashbangs. I don't think that they actually shot the pepper balls, but what they were trying to do was get people off of this bridge, this overpass over the 101 freeway. The question is, what's going to happen to the protesters in the area where we were earlier in front of the federal building? Are they going to declare an unlawful assembly up there and arrest them? You can see there's the CHP officers, California Highway Patrol, starting to move in towards those folks. What we can do, actually, is, JB, let's go across this bridge.
It's funnier if you don't pronounce it right.
But, Ari, again, as you can see here, this is a peaceful protest. We the people serve no king. How you guys feeling?
Horrible.
Horrible. What was it like to hear those flashbangs just now?
Unnecessary. It was peaceful. We were in front of the federal building. We were peaceful. It's not right.
What brings you out here?
My privilege. I've been here for a long time. My family's been here for a long time, and what they're doing isn't right.
When you see what's happening on the streets of LA, not just this law enforcement presence, But ICE, what neighborhood do you live in? What
Noki?
We live in El Monte, California.
So in El Monte, I mean, just east of where we are right now, there have been reports, not exactly in El Monte, and let's correct me if I'm wrong, but there have been reports in and around a lot of different parts of LA County of ICE rolling around and through the streets. Have you guys heard anything? People you know, people you care?
Chinese do not have bases all over the world. Yeah, they're a lot more about soft power, which is what, you know, something the U.S. used to do well as well.
Morning until nighttime.
But hey, that got doged. The United States soft power got doged.
So,
Right, apparently that was fraud, waste, and abuse.
remain peaceful. People, go ahead.
No key.
Yeah, Jacob, thank you. And it's very striking to sort of see as you move around, you're giving us even more of a reality check on what it looks like, and also, as you've observed, where most of the protesters are, with signs, with insignias, but largely assembling peacefully.
Okay. So yeah, we're gonna check out a few reports, just try to get our you know, I haven't had my eye on this. The No Kings protest is God, I want them to show the map of that, right? It's in LA, but it's in almost it's everywhere, right? There is a
Los Angeles now where hundreds are out at a protest in that city. NBC's David Noriega is on the scene where we just saw some police, David, responding to the crowds there. Talk us through what's happening right now.
Yeah, here, come with me, I'll show you. I'm on Temple and Main in downtown LA. The federal building where the Marines and National Guard are posted up is there. Here, what you see is the remnants of the peaceful protest of thousands of people that started at City Hall, which is that building right behind me, earlier today. And I'm gonna speak a little slowly here, guys, because every time I take a breath in, it's labored because of the gas mask that I'm wearing. Which I'm wearing because there, what you see is members of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department who have been deploying a number of chemical agents, tear gas, pepper spray, in addition to flashbang grenades. A number of mounted units just went to the line behind the tanks and the riot officers in the front there.
Now I'm assuming we don't mean like tanks, right? I think he's talking about like Bearcats.
Protests are out here today, of course. But I want to tell you that every single gathering that I've seen today,
Although it may be, chat, the militarization of the U.S. police forces
Marines and National Guard
is kind of astounding.
That is the most aggressive action I've seen by a protester. The dramatic images you see behind.
Sorry, what was the most aggressive action?
Organizing Marines and National Guard. I tell you that every single gathering that I've seen today has been 100% peaceful. I've seen people antagonizing Marines and National Guard troops with their words.
Okay, so saying, yeah, yelling at Marines and National Guard. That's the most, you know.
That is the most aggressive action I've seen by a protester. The dramatic images you see behind me right now are not the result, as far as I've seen, as one person standing out here, are not the result of the actions of the protesters, but the result of the actions of the police, and specifically the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, who moved very aggressively to disperse this crowd.
Where's the music coming from?
Federal building. The context for this, you guys, that's important to remember, is that the local law enforcement agencies that you see, the Sheriff's Department, the LAPD, the California Highway Patrol, which is about a block that way protecting the 101 freeway entrance and exits, are under the control of Democratic officials who are walking a tightrope between, on the one hand, showing their support for the protesters and their opposition to indiscriminate ICE raids in Southern California, and on the other hand, preventing the kind of riotous behavior that we saw last weekend. People setting Waymos on fire, dropping things off of highway overpasses onto police cars. They want to make sure that you and everybody else watching doesn't see anything that would justify the presence of National Guard troops and Marines in this city. From what I've seen in the last hour and a half, those law enforcement agencies and the officials that control them are erring dramatically on the side of preventing any kind of riotous behavior by not allowing groups of protesters to congregate.
So what he's low-key saying, let me give you the subtext here, chat. All right, he's saying that they're walking a tightrope between, on one side, they want to make it clear to the people of Los Angeles and to the protesters that they are on their side, that they stand with them against this invasion of the feds and ICE into Los Angeles. But on the other hand, They don't want, you know, things don't want property damage to happen, essentially, right? And when he says they're erring on the side of preventing property damage, the subtext is that he's saying that they are in danger of losing the optics of being in support of the protest against ICE and against Trump, right? So that is the Bass, Karen Bass and the, police department, the LAPD and the sheriff's office, in some ways making concessions to the Trump administrations, in some ways more afraid of the Trump administration than they are of their own people. And that is not acceptable.
On streets or at intersections for longer than a few minutes at a time.
Is that Jesus? Chat, did you see Jesus just they shot Jesus! You bastards!
There are guys firing pepper balls.
They just shot Jesus with a pepper ball. Oh my God.
I should stress also that they don't seem to be making a great effort.
Chat, they shot Jesus.
Last point I'll make before I toss it back to you guys. It's important to note that we're dealing with different law enforcement agencies commanded by different people with different cultures. I saw LAPD on the other side of this building successfully disperse a crowd without deploying any kind of chemical agent, a single mounted officer, without deploying any...
He's pointing out the difference between the tactics of the LAPD on the other side versus the sheriff's deputies on this side, and that the sheriff's deputies are using a lot heavier of a hand, using a lot more force against the protesters, whereas the LAPD was able to successfully disperse a group of protesters without any of that shit. Now, don't start looking at the LAPD as the good guys, because they are not the good guys. The LAPD has a long history, a long and sordid history of, racism and police brutality and all kinds of shit, right? But, in comparison to the sheriff's office, you're seeing maybe smarter tactics from the LAPD.
Munition. This is the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, and they were... I want to stress this. This is what I've seen. I cannot account for the actions of any protester. But what I saw was LA Sheriff's Department very quick to use less lethal force, chemical agents. We're all getting alarm notices on our phones, probably about street closures here in downtown LA. I thought this was going to happen about 8 p.m. It started happening around 4 p.m. That's how quick the law enforcement agencies were to make sure that nobody could congregate outside that federal building where Marines and National Guard troops are posted up.
So, chat, this was...
a few minutes at a time. I think there were protesters out there.
This was like 6 hours ago.
And I'm going to toss it back to you guys because I want to make sure we're positioned well here.
I want to kind of catch up with what's gone on.
We'll be out here.
I am going to ask you another question. I want to give you a chance to sort of move if you need to as you're doing that. And I'm curious, we heard from Jacob Soboroff a little bit earlier that a dispersal order had been given in the location where he was. I'm wondering if that is something that is universal across this area where protests have been happening. Have you heard a directive for people? NimXA says, I don't understand why they are destroying their own homes and businesses. This isn't going to help anyone. NimXA, with all due respect, you will see clearer if you pull your head out of your ass. You are getting your information from viral clips that are made to get clicks rather than looking at the entirety of the situation. If you think that Los Angeles is burning, if you think that people's houses are burning, you have your head up your ass and you're not seeing clearly. So with all due respect, please proceed to pull your head out of your ass. There may be a little bit of a schlupping sound as you do it. Don't be alarmed by that, all right? That's just the sound of you coming back into reality from a very dark place.
where you can be easily manipulated to, you know, to spread lies. Nobody's house is burning down. Nobody's house is burning down. LA is okay, all right? There's a protest. There's two protests, actually, today in Los Angeles because the people of Los Angeles do not like the feds coming in and pulling people out of the community. Fathers, mothers, cousins, nephews, nieces, grandmothers, grandfathers, ripped away from their family, disappeared, right? That's disrupted the city. People are mad, but they're not burning down their freaking houses, all right? Please understand that. Please understand that. As far as property destruction, we've seen Waymos get torched. We've seen police vehicles burned. Nobody's house is burning down. LA is not on fire. This is all going on in a, you know, very small area of Paramount and Compton, right? Although here, we may be in downtown LA here, given that it's the No Kings protest, right? But I just want people to understand, because when you see representations of the protests, you're seeing a very zoomed in view of something that they think it's designed to get you emotional. It's designed to short circuit your thinking, right? It's algorithmic, right? What's more interesting, a peaceful protest or a car on fire? Of course it's a car on fire. Of course they're going to show you the car on fire. Of course you're going to get the double chump chocolate cookie, okay? You see what I mean? Of course that's what's going to bang in the algorithm. But understand, that's not representative. You're seeing the tree, all right? Now pull back, pull your head out of your ass and look at the forest. Look at the whole situation, all right? There's been some, you know, confrontation of law enforcement. You know, there's been some destruction of property, but there hasn't been people's houses getting burned down. This isn't the, you know, this isn't 1992. This isn't the, you know, LA riots from the 90s. This isn't the Watts riots from the 60s, all right? This is present time, present day, and people are rightfully upset about the feds coming into their city and fucking shit up. And Trump himself has caved in. Trump always chickens out. He's chickened out on this one, right? He went in there with the intent to go arrest people at Home Depots, to arrest people that are involved in agricultural work, to arrest people that are in the hospitality industry. He has seen that is a failure. He has seen that the American people, Los Angelinos and people in California, are not going to put up with that. So he has now come out and said, we gotta change how we're doing things, acting like he's saving the day when he's the one that set the house on fire in the first place. If there is anybody setting a house on fire, it's Tyrant Trump, all right? And these protesters are your friends. They are fighting for you, and they have backed down a dangerous dictator from his power grab. And you should thank them.
To go home, is that potentially the alert that came to your phone here, and now these officers are taking action based on that?
Yes, I'm looking at it now. LAPD, avoid the area of Los Angeles and Temple Street. That's 1 block that way.
Okay.
Directly in front of the federal building. From what I've seen, I heard them declaring
Just Christmate says rioters. You mean, see, we have another person walking around with their head up their ass. It's kind of interesting that you can do that. I'm a little bit amazed, right? I don't know if I could ever be that flexible to get my head up my ass in the first place, and certainly not to be able to walk around like that. That's kind of amazing. However, I want to remind you that you will see the world more clearly and more accurately if you pull your head out of your ass, right? What you're going off of information that you've seen on viral clips. You saw one clip, you saw one car on fire, you saw a dumpster on fire, you saw a Waymo on fire, right? And you were like, oh yeah, that's clearly what all of Los Angeles is like right now. Because why would they be showing this to me otherwise? Why would they be showing this to you otherwise? Two reasons, all right? One, the perverse incentive of the algorithm. Yeah, what are you going to click on? A car on fire or just a bunch of protesters walking down the street? Obviously, you're going to click on a car on fire, right? So that's one. That's understandable, though. We all live and die by the algorithm here on YouTube.com. So that's understandable. But the second one is a little bit more darker. It's a little bit more manipulative, right? And that is because that's the narrative that's convenient to Tyrant Trump. He wants to send armed forces into every city across America and take control from your local government. This is happening right now. And these protesters, as much as they might not look like you or talk like you, they are the thin line protecting you from a dictator. So please, let's see a little gratitude. Let's see a little gratitude, chat. Can we see a little gratitude? Can we hear some schlupping sounds? I want to hear those schlupping sounds as you pull your head out of your ass and start to glimpse reality and start to see the forest and not just the trees, and realize that you've been manipulated and realize that you've been turned against people that are not your enemies. Also, that a bigger enemy could grab power over you, right? That shit is dangerous. We watched the military protest or the military parade in Washington, D.C. today. And what we saw was a very inept dictator trying to emulate countries like North Korea. You know, that this is, he's doing his best to do it. You know, they're not quite as sharp as the soldiers marching at, you know, the other military parades, but we're seeing the start of something very ugly. All right. And we've got limited time to stop it before it gets too far. And that's going to start with all of you pulling back and looking at the big picture rather than being convinced that a clip, a 30-second clip of a burning dumpster fire in the middle of an intersection is representative of the entire city of LA. I have had people tell me that people are burning down their houses. No houses have burned down. I have had people tell me that there is violence going on. The protesters doing violence. There's no violence going on. Nobody's gotten hurt except for by the cops. And yes, the cops have trampled protesters with their horses, right? They've, you know, you saw them shoot a reporter with a rubber bullet. She's just sitting there giving her report. They turn around, boom, right? For funsies, right? That's what the feds, that's what Trump's feds are like. That's what these Gestapo will do to you. That's what they will do in your neighborhood if you let them. The only chance, the only thing that's going to save you from that is if you have some solidarity. And that solidarity starts with understanding the actual situation on the ground. It is incumbent, Chad, I cannot emphasize this enough. It is incumbent upon all of you right now, if you are one of those people walking around with your head up your ass. First of all, I got to say, I'm impressed. I'm not that flexible. I don't think I could get my head up my ass, and I certainly don't think I could walk around like that. That's pretty impressive, all right? That being said, you will see the world more clearly, and we need you. We need you. We need you with us. We need you to see the world more clearly. We need you to see Trump for what he is, all right? Before things go too far, because we've got precious little time. I need you to pull your heads out of your asses and to join us in reality. Please, please. We don't have a lot of time.
Unlawful assembly on the other side of the federal building on Alameda, between Aliso and Los Angeles, and they just declared it on, between Aliso and Temple, and they just declared it on Los Angeles between Aliso and Temple, which is the other side of the complex of federal buildings. I'm one block over from that on Main. I haven't heard them declare an unlawful assembly here. I haven't seen a notice of them declaring an unlawful assembly here. But they are, as you can see at this intersection, using a number of less lethal tactics to disperse this crowd.
All right.
That's
David
what I can tell
Noriega.
you so far.
All right, David, we appreciate your reporting there in Los Angeles. And, of course, keep us apprised if things develop further where you are. We'll try to get back to you if we can here as the evening goes on. David, thank you.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated.
Okay. So this was what, 6 hours ago? The clip we watched before was from 5 hours ago. We're kind of catching up with what's gone on in LA. We have been watching the Trump military parade, a great thing to see in the streets of Washington, D.C. and the United States of America. Global hegemon with nothing to prove, acting like a banana republic, acting like a pathetic dictatorship, you know, trying to flex its military might and doing such a bad job at it too.
These protests have been peaceful, and that is what we have seen all this afternoon is peaceful protesting here from these demonstrators making their way through the streets of Van Nuys. And they're now, as I said, we're on Van Nuys Boulevard walking with them. We've been following them in the van for at least 30, 40 minutes now. So we'll continue to stay with the group and keep you updated on what's happening here in Van Nuys. Rick and Irene.
And this is, Lindsay, this is the type of thing that we saw in downtown LA for hours earlier today. This crowd seems very vocal. They seem very excited to be getting their message across. And this was what the case was in downtown LA before everything went south about 2 hours ago. Do you get any inkling at all that things here in Van Nuys may change as well?
You know, I don't at this point, Rick. I will say that we have seen, you know, some certain skirmish lines of officers. We did see some police officers that were blocking the entrance to one of the freeways here as these protesters made their way around. And you can see that there are some folks that are in cars that are following and kind of helping to block traffic because they're, as I said, sort of snaking their way through. We have seen, you know, the LAPD chopper overhead monitoring the situation, and we've seen plenty of officers, but they have stayed basically on the outskirts of this demonstration. And so
sign said Jesus was a refugee. Would you cage him?
As of right now, everything is absolutely peaceful.
All right, Stanley super chatted $5. You're appreciated, and so are your mods. Solidarity rock.
Solidarity.
We'll continue monitoring things.
And thank you for the super chat.
Safe as we approach the 6 o'clock hour.
Are we closing in on 200?
All across Southern California, Kareem Winter here with Rick Chambers, Kai Goldberg. You're seeing a shot right now downtown Los Angeles, and this is where our coverage has been focused.
Okay, so now that's where shit went down, apparently.
4 o'clock today.
I still haven't seen what caused the sheriff's deputies and the LAPD to
confirming that they had to issue that dispersal order.
To issue a dispersal.
Came under attack, that people in the crowd began throwing bricks and objects, and they had to maintain order and issue that dispersal order, declaring it an unlawful entry in sections of downtown Los Angeles.
What does his sign say?
Quite chaotic, very
autonomy, something, taxes.
Going off there. At times, officers have had to use non-lethal force, non-lethal means to try to control the crowds, but you still have a strong number saying that they are staying put, while a lot of the demonstrators have left. Those behind the movement, No Kings movement, said that their events there have concluded. They're going to be emailing us a statement.
So this is 3 hours ago.
Still in sections of downtown Los Angeles, being on route, being disruptive. They want to make it clear that that is not a part of their official movement.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate what we're seeing right now. My daughter was down taking part in the earlier protest that they had there. And when she called me, she said she was inspired by what she saw in the streets. And then as she took off, I had to text her that things were changing at 4 o'clock and that she should stay away from the downtown area. And you get the feel that a lot of the people who were there earlier and may have gone home have to be shocked by what they're seeing right now.
Wait, I'm sorry.
That was
I'm not seeing any protesters doing anything that is, you know, I don't know what this is KTLA 5.
Big focus that they wanted to.
Oh, wait, this is that one station, right? This is that station we keep on running into. and they're super right wing.
Really send across to the whole community, to Washington leaders, that we can demonstrate peacefully. We have a message here that we want to get out. Now that message gets lost when we're seeing the coverage saturated.
Yeah, RIP sign guy.
Chaos on the ground there. People clashing with police.
Get out of there. Get out of there, dude. Oh, no.
Taking away from that. So this is the last thing they wanted. We see, look at what's happening right now on the ground.
So, chat, he was waving a sign.
This is exactly what the movement.
That's what he did wrong.
Have been out there for hours demonstrating peacefully, say they did not want, but unfortunately things have taken a turn. Perhaps those who want to be agitators and want to.
You're not showing us any agitators other than the sheriff's deputies, right? Those are the agitators that I see in this picture.
From that message, and you know, we're seeing it unfold right now in some of the violence that's unfolding.
The violence! Yeah, I'm seeing the cops be kind of violent.
Yeah, we're not sure what that gentleman was doing prior to him being grabbed by the sheriffs.
She even says it! He even fucking says it! Well, I know it must have been something he must have been doing. He must have secretly been threatening the sheriff's deputies with violence.
You can see the gas that is in.
I'm not sure what that guy was doing, but must have been doing something bad. Otherwise, the cops wouldn't have tackled him to the ground. Haha.
The smoke and the gas that is in the streets right there. That, I think, Irene, is the second time we've seen.
I love that smoke is blowing back at them. That's beautiful. Look at that. God is against you. God is against you, Sheriff's Department.
Back by the police, and no doubt that
God has sent a mighty wind to blow your chemical weapons back in your fucking face, in your cop faces.
Handcuffed as we speak. But this.
You are on the wrong side of history.
Where the sheriffs are showing their strength. Yeah. They're moving down. They're trying.
They're showing their weakness is what they're doing.
What we have been calling the agitators out of the street. Now we see a number of people in there as well that may be just, with the best ideas in their mind.
Oh, they're gonna fuck up the media now too. You better get out of there.
Young lady earlier saying that.
You see that cop waving?
Right to get out there in the streets, but when things start getting dicey like this, just for your own safety, it's probably a good idea just to back up and maybe take a stand.
Well, tell your cameraman that he better get out of. They're gonna fuck him up.
Type of thing. Backing off from the lines,
being with the media has not
away, and even those were
kept other reporters safe.
One thing we have to point out, we keep our
he's moving off.
Less than 2 hours away from that curfew. Things are
not fast enough.
Pretty soon, in just a matter of hours, and so that has to be at the forefront of law enforcement's minds to try to control.
Hey, give these reporters some credit though. At least they're not embedding with the.
It's just going to really make this more challenging.
They're not embedding with the cops.
Things may even take more of a turn, so we'll have to just see how it plays out. But it looks like this crowd, the people who remain in downtown Los Angeles, they are not moving. They're in a standoff right now with sheriff's deputies.
Yeah, and as the sheriff's deputies, the LAPD, the other officers that are out there, as we look at a shot from above in the Grand Park area and right in front of City Hall, this seems to be fine. When the people are gathering like this, we don't see any problems there, but it's as the people approach the police lines and the folks that just won't back up, that's when we start seeing problems. That's when most of the gas and the rubber bullets and that type of thing start being sent into the crowd. But over on the left, for the most part anyway, we've seen kind of a calm on those streets there. And the crowd is still reasonably good size, but they're staying away from the police lines, which is a great idea at this 6 o'clock hour.
Yeah, they want the crowds to disperse. But one thing our Rachel Menitoff told us a short time ago is as they continue to push those crowds away from certain locations, intersections,
I mean, chat,
they're moving to others because they don't know where to go.
Declaring a curfew is a sign of weakness, right?
That's adding to the confusion.
But
yeah, we heard the
declaring an unlawful, declaring a curfew
on the air with us,
and then declaring
about one problem they have, all these cars, these vehicles that are still stuck in some of the streets there.
Look, declaring a curfew, that's a sign of weakness, all right, from the cops, right? But declaring a curfew and then dispersing protesters, declaring an unlawful assembly before the curfew even starts, that's a real sign of weakness, right?
They're trying to come up with some sort of a plan to move the vehicles through the downtown area and get them out of the situation that they're in with people running and moving in all directions, trying to avoid some sort of a problem if we have pedestrians that start getting struck by vehicles down there. So far as we know, anyway, no, that has not occurred. No one has gotten hurt. But you can see the clouds on the right of your screen. This is right in front of City Hall now, and the smoke and the gas starting to drift over parts of that crowd that we were just talking about that seemed to be peaceful. Now that has changed at that location as well.
Yeah, there was a lot of confusion also among those attending today's protests as to why they had to leave at 4 o'clock. And we spoke with an official with the LAPD saying that it was because their officers came under attack. That, of course, caused a lot of tensions, you know, to be
citation motherfucking needed.
Elevated, with people saying we're demonstrating peacefully. Why are they pushing us out? Now we know the reason, but there may be a lot of
like, you're just gonna take that. This is what I love about the media. We are just going to take, the police said that they were being violent, and we're just going to take the police's word for it because we know the police never lie. They're not allowed to lie to you, chat.
Perhaps still.
If you're ever in a situation where you think somebody might be an undercover cop, all you have to do is ask them, "Are you an undercover cop?" And they have to tell you if they are, because police aren't allowed to lie. They're bound by duty to always tell the truth. Does anybody fucking believe that?
Down there or who've since departed from the area who are agitated and upset that they had to leave at the time that they were told.
And if you were in the middle or the back of that crowd and you did know what was transpiring, you know, half a block ahead of you, you may have gotten angry. The fact that you were there, you were doing what you were allowed to do. Again,
chat, remember, this is KTLA 5. This is a very right-wing network from what we've seen so far. So
suddenly they were being pushed back. I'm guessing that some of those people later on today will realize that they were there, but there were some others in the front of the line that maybe
must have been. It couldn't be that the cops just declared an unlawful assembly out of nothing, right?
Didn't have the same purpose to be in the streets today. But yeah, what we've watched unfold.
It couldn't be that they just got sick of people expressing their First Amendment rights and.
It's unfortunate, and a lot of the people who had the best intentions now are feeling as if things have gone sideways.
Yeah, and we see the police lines.
You can tell the narrative that they're crafting here, right? To be fair, chat, this isn't what I've seen from other stations. Like KTLA is kind of an outlier.
Deputies there, LAPD on another side, LAPD saying they're going to be as patient as long as possible until they have to move in. So it's just a matter of time. We just don't know when. We're going to head back down on the ground. Rachel Menitoff, who has been in the thick of things with law enforcement as they try to move those crowds from one section of the city to another. Rachel.
Irene, Rick, we're right in front of LAPD headquarters where traffic is moving somewhat smoothly. The tension is starting to die down a little bit. I would say the police officers have set up this perimeter all around the police department, and the crowds are starting to thin out here on Main Street. I would say that there is somewhat of a large group that's congregating right in front of City Hall on the lawns outside of City Hall. So people are walking down Spring Street. And
okay, so Yo Daddy 82 says the narrative, you mean like burning a city being called peaceful? Yo Daddy, I tell you, from the bottom of my heart, the city is not burning. Nobody's house is burned. Nobody, you've seen, there's been Waymo cars that were torched, I think, a week ago, right? They're not burning the city down. LA's fine. Ask anybody from LA. LA is fine, all right? The protests themselves have been confined to a small area of the city. And it's not, what you're operating off of is viral clips, right? You've seen a picture of a car on fire, of a dumpster on fire, of something on fire. And you've just made the assumption that, well, since they're showing me this, like this must be like all of LA is like this, right? When in actuality, it was kind of a one-off, all right? I am telling you, with all due respect, you will see the world much clearer if you pull your head out of your ass, all right? You'll be able to see a lot better if you see the forest rather than zeroing in on a tree on fire, right? You're not getting shown a representative sample of the totality of the event that's going on right now, okay?
kind of gathering in front of City Hall, but there are perimeters all around this area trying to keep people in sort of this central area and then eventually have people disperse. You were asking why people are staying out here. Why are people deciding to stay even though they've been told this is an unlawful assembly? I just spoke to a man, Taylor, who says he plans to stay out here through the night, that it's his right to demonstrate, and
You saw an old man about 80 punch a horse? Cool story, bro. I saw a horse trample somebody, and he was not okay. He was not okay, and the cops didn't need to do that. The guy was down. The guy was not resisting arrest. These cops on horses trampled a dude for funsies, all right? That's what I saw.
Feels that his protest was cut short, that this dispersal order at 4 o'clock was preemptive, and so he's going to stay through the night. Of course, we know that there's an 8 o'clock curfew initiated here in the downtown area, but people have been asked to leave now. The curfew is kind of a moot point at this point because people have been asked to leave the area now. Traffic is starting to move here on Main Street, so people are able to get out of the area. I do feel sort of the tension levels starting to die down. People are starting to cool off a little bit, and I think that
I don't think it was the people that got heated. I think it was the sheriff's deputies, right? That from what we've seen so far, that's what it looks like. It looks like even the LAPD didn't lose their shit the way that the sheriff's department did. The sheriff's department just decided to go ham on people with chemical weapons, with flashbangs, and with rubber bullets, right? And,
police officers, while very calculated and obviously in tactical gear, are also moving very cautiously. So I do feel as though the tension is starting to die down a bit, at least for the time being.
Funkmaster Koss says Waymos are like a healthcare CEO. Most people haven't heard of them, but immediately agree with their destruction upon finding out. Yeah.
Order. That gentleman saying that their demonstrations were cut short, but do they understand that officers were coming under attack? Maybe it wasn't someone from their movement, but that bricks and objects were being thrown, and that.
Yeah, no, it must have been. If the cops went ham on the protesters, it must have been bricks and objects were thrown. They must have had a secret gun tucked up under their bandanas, right? And that comes out and it secretly snipes at the. I don't know. There must have been something the protesters did, right? Clearly that must have been it, because the cops wouldn't go off on them for no reason at all. It's not like cops hate protesters, right? Right? They don't enjoy violence, right? Nobody would sign up for a job like a police officer, chat, because they used to be a high school bully and then they grew up and they couldn't get a good job. And so they remember having power over people and they like that feeling and they want to feel that. That wouldn't be the motivation for somebody to become a cop, would it?
Necessary move.
Yeah, it's a good question. There were upwards of 25,000 people out here today. Downtown LA had one of the largest crowds. And so I think communication from, the start of the demonstration to the finish line is spotty. And I don't know that everyone realizes that officers were actually coming under attack, that people were throwing rocks and other projectiles. And I think that the communication is unfortunately somewhat sporadic because I'm
sorry, KTLA 5. All right. Show me the clips, show me the images, show me the protesters throwing rocks or whatever they were doing, right? You were filming. Let's show you this earlier. The moment where this protest escalated and got out of hand, the moment when the crowd got unruly, let's show you them throwing the rocks and shit like that. And what you'll probably see is you'll see the cops shooting tear gas, shooting pepper balls, shooting flashbangs or rubber bullets, and you'll see one or two protesters picking up those canisters and throwing them back. And in the mind of KTLA, that is the protesters starting it, right? That is even though they're not throwing bricks, they're throwing canisters of gas. Where did they get those canisters of gas? The police shot them at them Who's doing the escalation? I think there is a certain group of people that do not understand the concept of a police riot and do not get the fact that most riots that you hear about, most disorderly contact kind of situations are initiated by the police, right?
Large group of people out here today. So, the message that one crowd is receiving might not be the same message that another part of the crowd is receiving. And that's part
we got to have an explanation. Yeah, the crowd just doesn't understand. I mean, it seems to them that everyone's being peaceful and the cops are just shooting them with tear gas for no reason. But in reality, that couldn't be possible. They must have been doing something. No, there was protesters that they didn't see up ahead of them, even though they were at the front of the line. There were invisible protesters, Chad, I guess, throwing invisible bricks at invisible cops, and that's why shit got out of hand. Okay, I got it.
Over the weekend, Rachel, we saw the crowds as the sun went down. They started the tagging just about every.
Digital, keep telling yourself throwing bricks is peaceful. Digital, they haven't shown us throwing bricks. They have the news that's making this assumption. They haven't shown us the footage of what they're talking about. And I would assert that it's because that footage doesn't exist. Because they're selling a narrative. And people like you walking around with your head up your ass. Okay, granted, you are very flexible. You're more flexible than I am. I don't think I could do that. I don't think I could twist around and shove my head up my ass, all right? You're also very talented. You're walking around with your head up your ass. I don't think I'd be able to walk if I had my head up my ass somehow, right? But what you can't do is see. What you can't do is perceive correctly. You're getting a distorted view of the world because your head shoved up your ass. And I would ask you, please, for the love of all that is good, please pull your head out of your ass. There may be a slight schlupping sound as you pull it out. Please do not be alarmed by that, all right? That is normal, right? The lights may be very bright outside of your ass, like when you leave a movie theater after, watching a long movie and you're like, whoa, the sun, damn, I didn't realize it was still daytime. Yeah, no, that's what reality looks like. It's very bright out here, all right? But if you let your eyes adjust, I promise you will be able to see more clearly, hopefully with eyes unclouded by hate. Hopefully.
Everything that they walked past, and there was some looting that's going on. Have you seen any of that on the periphery?
Have you seen any of that?
There are people that are taking advantage of what.
Look, I'm sorry if there was looting going on, if there was anything like that, anything that exciting.
But now there are freaking communist invading radicals.
We would have seen it. They would have showed us the clip, right? This is the news, chat. I mean, they got a reporter on the scene.
But now there are freaking
but they're also in the studio, right? If this stuff had happened, ostensibly, they would have video of it.
Communist invading radicals.
And they'd be showing us that video, right? Like right over there. Look, they're showing us the cops standing in front of City Hall. The U.S. flag's up there, and the POW MIA. Oh God, that fucking flag! God damn it! This is the second time we've seen that today. But anyway, they would put the image of whatever they were talking about, the outbreak of violence or whatever, the looting. That would be what was on screen right now if they had that, right? Instead, we're getting a narrative, we're getting a story, and we're getting zero in the way of proof. We're getting these assholes taking the cops' word for it. And I hope you all know that contrary to popular wisdom, cops can lie to you, all right? If you ask somebody, are you an undercover cop? They don't have to say, oh, yes, you got me. Goddamn. Call off the operations, you guys. They know that I'm undercover. Yeah, we're going to have to call off the operation. God damn it. We were going to bust you you were going to sell us the drugs and we were going to arrest you. But you asked me if I was an undercover cop. So I got to tell you, because I'm a cop and I'm honest. It's the law. Cops have to tell the truth. No, they don't fucking have to tell. Everybody knows this. Everybody knows this. Even Mr. Only Smiles knows this. And Mr. Only Smiles doesn't know shit.
Happening in the streets right now?
Even Mr. Only Smiles knows that cops will lie to you.
Any looting. I'm not seeing any graffiti. I would say that the handful of people who are taking advantage of the situation are those people who are coming up against officers, having kind of tense standoffs between officers, shouting, trying to push their way through, but no physical damage that I'm actually seeing.
No physical damage. I was told there would be violence, Chad. I was told these were violent rioters. They were dangerous people. We need to bring in the National Guard. We need to bring in the Marines. We need to order a nuclear strike on the city of Los Angeles because there's some very dangerous people and they have to be controlled, right? I was told that there was violence going on. No, there's not even property damage. That's KTLA, the shittiest fucking channel that I have witnessed during all of this stuff, right? Telling you straight up, they don't even have the property damage. There's literally nothing happening except for cops provoking protesters and escalating an already dangerous situation, an already tense situation, right?
Well, the crowd has gotten much smaller.
I would say people take advantage of the situation. Yeah, I would say people are taking advantage of the situation by...
There has been violence. Crappy robot. What do you mean by crappy robot? Sorry. What do you mean by violence? What is violence to you? Right? To me, violence is like that, you know? Like, to me, violence means hurting someone, all right? I've seen people get hurt, but they were protesters and they were being hurt by cops. All right. That's the violence that I've seen so far. I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe you're talking about violence towards Waymos. You know, you're worried about the driverless car being violated. Maybe you've seen Cars. Maybe you're a big fan of Cars and you're like, that's just like hurting Lightning McQueen. How dare you hurt that car? Oh my gosh, look at the violence. Look at the violence. These protesters are violence. Please call in a tactical nuke.
Hanging around, by instigating.
Setting cars on fire is dangerous? Yeah, especially electric cars. That's dangerous. Yeah, that's dangerous. But you said violence. That's different. That's different. And the difference is important. All right? And I want you to start noticing these things.
But now there are freaking communist invading radicals.
I want you to develop something called media literacy, where you start noticing the difference between something like violence and something like, you know, some dumbass bashing away to Waymo and lighting it on fire and maybe not realizing that electric batteries, when they go up, they that's a special kind of fire. And it is dangerous. It is dangerous. I would not recommend that you stay around an electric car on fire, right? Again, the battery is very dangerous, right?
Instigating encounters with officers. I've seen a couple of those where people...
But the important part that I'm making, the point that I'm making right here is she's talking about right now, she's trying to give you the reason that the cops disperse people, that the cops turned this into a riot, right? A police riot, to be specific, right? You know, there was violence, yeah, by the police. That's what happened, right? Or at least that's what we've seen. She's like, but there must have been something that the protesters were doing. The cops wouldn't just go off on them for no reason, would they? Would they? Oh no, of course not. They're to protect and serve. That's what the police are here for, right? That's what they're here. They're not just overgrown high school bullies that couldn't get a good job out of high school, that were used to bullying people and bossing people around, and now they get out of high school and they have no status, so they decide to sign up for the police force. No, that's not what cops are, right?
Come face to face with an officer and kind of antagonize the officer. Yeah. But no looting, no graffiti.
No looting, no property destruction. She's talking about today, chat. She's not saying that there hasn't. This is KTLA, all right? If there's looting, trust me, they're on it. If anything catches on fire, they are on it. They will let you know. These people very much want to sell you Trump's narrative, all right? So they have no, but she, from KTLA, the pro-Trump, local news network here, is telling you that in this situation where the police have escalated things, there was no violence, there was no looting, and there was no property destruction. So I want you to get it through your head that those things are not necessary for police to turn the situation violent. We have seen various images of police doing violence to people for funsies, shooting an Australian reporter with a giant rubber plug. I mean, they call them rubber bullets, chat, but they're like this big. There's this big, heavy ass, thing that they're supposed to shoot it at the ground. It's supposed to ricochet and kind of scare you away, or maybe it glazes you, or like it doesn't hurt as bad once you shoot it at the ground. But they're not shooting them at the ground. They're shooting them at people. They straight up shot that lady in the ankle and the calf, right? And she's got a big old bruise from it, right? But yeah, I mean, like, have you seen cops running over a dude with a horse, right? This dude wasn't resisting arrest. This dude wasn't doing shit. And they ran him, they trampled him with a horse for funsies, chat, for funsies.
In the way that we saw last weekend.
And while many of those demonstrators or those people who are behind you, who you've been speaking to, have vowed to stay as long as it takes, we can't forget about that curfew in less than 2 hours. It's been in effect all week, and it's in effect today. Officials during a news conference yesterday made it very clear that come 8 o'clock on Saturday, they want the streets of downtown Los Angeles clear. So we have no idea what's going to happen leading up to that, Rachel, but they definitely will not be allowed to assemble on the streets much longer.
Yeah, and there's a tremendous show of force down there by you, Rachel, as well.
I'm not sure she knew who I was, but...
All right, we lost Rachel there for a moment.
Shouldn't be rioting in first place, says Da Muffin Shake. Da Muffin Shake, I'm sad for you. You don't believe in the First Amendment. You don't believe in the right to protest, right? If you're seeing this and you're saying this is a riot, shouldn't be rioting in the first place, you don't have any conception of free speech. And that's sad.
And we'll get her back in a second, but you can see this crowd there.
The cops are doing what's needed, Martin Fuentes. Is that what you think cops do? Is that what you think? That's the naive worldview that you've come at this? The cops are the good guys. I've seen it from movies.
As I mentioned before, just a tremendous police presence in the downtown area. But the folks in the background there, you can see the flags waving, folks kind of milling around, nothing really going on at this location except the protest. But as Irene mentioned before, it's already been announced that there's an unlawful assembly through a number of blocks around the downtown LA area. Many people have already left. We heard about the folks that organized the No Kings March today. They've said that their part of all of this is over and that they were encouraging people to go home, leave the streets. But on the left of your screen, you can see that
they're doing the right thing. Volera, do you think that running over innocent people with horses is the right thing to do? Is that what you would do with power? Is that what you would do if I took control, became dictator of this country, and handed you license to a monopoly on violence? That's the right thing to do? That's how a society should work? People know to listen to the cops because if you don't, you'll get run over with a horse? Is that the world that you want to fucking live in? Because it's not the world I want to live in.
message just was not absorbed by these folks that are now coming under the police flashbangs and the gas and the little pepper balls and all of that. And you wonder why it is that they're staying there. We know they have a message, but
they're not innocent, genius. Henceforth, that's why the horse is running over them. And that's great. That's great. That's wonderful. You know that they're not innocent because a horse is stomping on them, is trampling on them, and you know that the cops would never do that to an innocent person. Oh, my sweet summer child. Oh, my poor naive chatter. What a twisted mass of worms are writhing through your brain at this very moment to make you say those words.
At some point, you just have to decide, okay, it's time to call it a night.
And you see the strategy there from sheriff's deputies, at least from what we're seeing. They'll stage that line, they'll wait there for a bit, and then they'll continue pushing the crowds further and further away. I do want to mention that we are in line.
Rioting is violent. Protesting is not protected under the Constitution. You mean like January 6th? Nick, please tell me, what is violence? Can you please define violence for? I want to see what kind of definitions you're operating with.
To hear from LASD Sheriff Robert Luna momentarily, so he's going to be able to...
Didn't accomplish anything with these protests? Adam Funk, you're wrong. Trump has backed off. We accomplished everything with these protests, okay? Trump has backed off his attempt, or at least he said he will, backed off his attempt to go after day laborers, go after hospitality workers, people who work in hotels and stuff, people who do housekeeping. He's backed off going after agricultural workers, people out there picking strawberries to feed your dumbass while you bitch about protesters. Yes, the protests have accomplished a lot. That wouldn't have happened if everybody just sat down. Oh, I guess he's going to take, I guess my grandmom's getting arrested. I guess my uncle's getting disappeared. Oh no, there goes my friends. They're taking them all. They're good people. They're hardworking, but Trump's taking them. I guess they didn't have their paperwork. None of this shit, none of what Trump has caved on, none of what Trump has chickened out on would have happened if there wasn't opposition. Trump fucked around and he found out, and that's why he has changed his policy. Right? I'm sorry, but like in a lot of protests, you might be able to make that accusation and say the protests haven't changed anything. Because a lot of times you don't see the effect of a protest. Look at the civil rights protest for a while, for instance, right? You didn't see the effect of the civil rights protest till after Martin Luther King had been murdered, okay? Till quite some while later. And you could say that, you're like, hasn't accomplished anything with these protests, right? In this case, you can see a change in Trump's rhetoric based on what these people are out there doing while your coward ass sits on YouTube shorts and complains. Get up, get out there, and help these people out. These people are your friends. They're fighting for your freedom. If that means anything to you, if you want to live in a free society going forward, you should show some goddamn gratitude to these people, and you should show some goddamn solidarity. Or else there will be no one left when they come for you.
Weigh in on exactly what's happening right now, the coordinated efforts there, what they're going to do exactly to move these crowds out of these pockets of downtown Los Angeles, especially as we go up against that curfew there, because where was that location? Along Temple, we saw a significant amount of people stage there. And as they leave from one location, they go to another. And so you have these pockets that continue to form.
Yeah, we saw that older gentleman.
Right, that's from 4 hours ago. We got some... I mean, these protests are going on all around the country now, right? Both in terms of the anti-ICE protests are going on in cities that are getting invaded by ICE, getting invaded by the feds, getting invaded by Trump, and in terms of the No King protests, which have started today. Protests in response to Trump's authoritarian power grab, protests in response to the gigantic waste, fraud, and abuse by the Trump administration in holding an unnecessary military parade that is impressing exactly no one in order to fillet a man's ego. All right, so here's the AP. So if you don't know, AP is a news organization. They kind of feed information to other news organizations, and AP stands for Associated Press. They have their YouTube channel does kind of long form content where they put a cameraman in an area where something is happening, and then they upload the or they live stream the video of that, right? So what we're watching now is a live stream that I think started 10 hours ago. And the question that we're kind of asking is, like, how did shit get out of hand, right? Because what even KTLA was telling us was that the protests were peaceful, everything was copacetic, right? And until it wasn't, right? and they've guessed that, you know, that, well, the protesters must have done something to the cops, right? That's the only way that the cops would go off on them. They haven't showed us any evidence of that, and I'm kind of curious. Like what we see here, right? If we can see the moment where the where the situation turns into a police riot. LIB, MR Pigs. Is that Trump? It looks like David Bowie. I don't think Trump has never looked that good. Okay, so this seems to be maybe I'm guessing the No Kings protest that we're seeing. There's two protests. So chat, this is from earlier today in LA. There's two protests going on. The No Kings protest as well as the LA Out of ICE protest. They were kind of close together, and I think there might have been... I'm curious, right? Because from the scene I saw earlier, it almost looked like the cops were trying to keep the two protests from meeting up. Seen all kinds of flags here, all kinds of signs here. No human is illegal. No ICE. What does that say? We something. We the people serve no king. That's what it says. Being brown does not make you a criminal. True. United we stand. All our ancestors calling us to cleanse away la mala vibra. The bad vibes? Is that what that means? Is la mala vibra like the bad vibe? The evil vibe? I think I saw a Chinga la Migra sign earlier. Abolish ICE. Chance of ICE out of LA. LA will not, what does that say? Will not something? Will not bend? Eggs are expensive because what? There's another Trump. It's looking like a South Park Cartman more than a Trump. Because all the blah, I can't tell what that sign says. I bet it's funny though. All the chickens are in the White House. Yo, Taco Trump. Again, chat, I don't support the Taco Trump thing. I feel like, you know, when you say Trump always chickens out, it's almost like you're daring him to fuck up even worse, right? right? You know, people started saying this about the tariffs. Trump always backs down on the tariffs. That is the market trying to cope with a very bad situation, in thinking that, you know, they should go ahead and invest because Trump, at the end of the day, will back down on the tariffs. I would not make that assumption. And I would not, people have told him about the taco thing, right? All that's going to do is make him, you know, make him want to stick to his guns on the tariffs, right? The church said, love thy neighbor, and then called ICE? No. Off with... They're waving. I have friends everywhere. Is it a peace dove? Yeah, this is No Kings, according to AP. They're at the No Kings protest here. They tried to bury us. They didn't something. They didn't know we were seeds? Is that what that says? Chinga la migra. That's a banger. That's a... ICE out of our community. Donald Trump is a something racist. Oh God. The sign says Donald Trump is an R.A. blank I.S.T. And there's a little stick figure with a C on one hand and a P on the other hand. And he's trying to decide if the C goes in there and it's Donald Trump is a racist, or if it's a P and Donald Trump is a rapist, right? That's cute. America was built by immigrants, true. Jesus said, love our neighbors, true. Yo, Omega Star, thank you for the gifted sub to Rob. Do we have my nail? Oh, people like my nail color. Thank you. Do we have a count on the... I feel like I've left some off. Trump is a papist? That's what they meant to say, yeah. He's a papist.
Because it was so peaceful up here, but now there are freaking communists invading.
We got a Nazi account saying America was built on victors. I'm sorry if you're not a Nazi, but your name is SS. I don't know what else to assume. Why not call it what it is, a riot? Okay, so what makes this a riot, unknown user? I want to know. You are unknown, but I want to know. It'd be one thing if we were watching, you know, people burn stuff or destroy property or, you know, like people, I don't know, getting violent and stuff like that, right? That's what I think of when you say riot, but that's not what we're seeing. So that makes me think that you'll call any protest a riot, which makes me think that you're full of shit, or maybe you're incorrectly perceiving the world because you're walking around with your head shoved up your ass and you can't see reality. You're just seeing your own dirty colon, right? And the world looks kind of nasty from there. So you're saying, yeah, the world is shit. But in reality, that's the view from inside your ass. That's your own shit that you're perceiving. So if you could, please just pull your head out of your ass. Even though we are all impressed by your flexibility. And thank you for coming to my TED Talk. See, that's you kind of debunk yourself when you look at a situation like this and you say, "Oh, that's a riot. That's a riot." Right? When you look at a situation with absolutely no violence going on, no property destruction, no loot, no nothing, right? And you say that's a riot, what that means to me is that you think that protests should not be allowed. You are anti-free speech. And some of you are bitching about free speech when you get banned by my mods. I hope you know that free speech is about your treatment by the U.S. government, not about your treatment in YouTube moderation, you silly ass. You fucking crybabies. You have a right to free speech, okay? That means the government's not supposed to take you away for expressing your point of view, and yet this government is taking people away. And you're in my YouTube chat acting like this is the big violation of your civil rights. This is the big violation of civil rights. The fact that you got banned for being a fuckhead in my chat. What do you expect? I guess you were confusing rioting for protesting. KT, I could say the same thing to you. Or maybe you're saying that to another chatter, I don't know. In which case you might be right. There are people in here confusing protesting with rioting, okay? Because if you're going to call this a riot, that means that word doesn't mean anything anymore. That means that you think that protests should be illegal, right? If this is a riot, then you're not allowed to protest. And the next time you say something is a riot, I'm not going to believe you because I've seen you lie to my face, all right? You're discrediting yourself. No, riot is when awesome music. Wait, is there like a... Oh, it's like an inflatable. Wait, is that like a killer clown on her back? What is that? You see the inflatable? Anybody got an Abacus count? I don't know if all of our Abacus users have gone to bed, but we are closing in on possibly double the bonus content, and I want to make it official. I just don't know where we're at because I have not been keeping track, and I don't think I could count at this point. I know there's like definitely some Twitch subs that I haven't counted yet. Anybody got an up-to-date count on the bonus goal? I come here to avoid mouth, says play something. Hey, that's valid. I only ask because I think we're really close to double bonus content, and I would hate to only give you one bonus topic when you really deserve two. So what I'm trying to figure out, this is the No Kings protest, right? That's the now this is the LAPD here, I believe, and they do have a skirmish line. LAPD go to hell. I can't tell. Some back and forth between the cops and protesters here. Yeah, that is LAPD. Oh, wait, that's okay, so there we go. Let's chat. Han shot first. So who's escalating things? It kind of looks like the LAPD. Should we go back a little bit and see how this developed? I don't want to jump to any conclusions, right?
So peaceful up here, but now there are freaking communists.
Because God knows you're getting enough of that shit from the media.
Because it was so peaceful up here, but now there are freaking communists invading radicals.
Here, I'll roll it back a little bit just to see if we can tell how this developed.
But now there are freaking communists invading radicals.
Who are these communists and why do they keep invading? And why do they make me feel radical? What is this radical feeling, chat? I'm starting to feel like the power belongs to the people. That's radical. I'm going to turn it up a little bit so you can... God, I wish there weren't so many cuts here. Like, I really do want to just kind of see how this develops. Okay, there. Yeah, the police are pushing. Wait, I can't tell. Are they pushing or are they just moving? Are they just on the move? They do tend to run even when they're not. Actively pushing the protesters. Yeah, it just looks like a movement of the cops here. Okay, this is the one that we're looking at. Like, so what we heard from KTLA was that things were calm, and then the protesters threw something, threw bricks, threw rocks, threw something at the police officers, and that's what caused the order to disperse. We just haven't seen any proof of that. And I'm not the kind of person that's going to take a cop's word for it, right? I have had a ton of cops lie to me. In fact, it's kind of what they do. Can we take a minute and talk about who ICE is? Who is ICE, chat? Does anybody want to posit an answer for that? Who is ICE? Who are we talking about? What do we mean? Who is ICE? Who are these people? I can't figure out how to find the subs received today. Am I a Democrat? No. My grandmom was, but I'm not. Right? My mom was a Republican. My dad voted for Republicans and Democrats. But my grandmom was a Democrat. She was a pretty nice lady. So who is ICE? Anybody want to? ICE is Immigration Control and Enforcement. Yeah, correct. That's the acronym. But who's behind? Who are the people in ICE? Anyone who wants a job there? They are definitely hiring. They are definitely expanding. From what I've heard, you know, there's the ICE agents proper, and then there's people that they just deputize, right? There's people that they just, you know, are like, all right, you're with us now. Right, and that's something that Trump's done. That's unique to Trump. That's a good noise gate? I thought the stream had frozen. Wait, what do you mean? Thug, says Rob. What I'm trying to ask you is who is behind the mask, right? Because you all know that ICE, when they come in to rip people out of their communities and disappear them with no due process, with no trial, with no lawyer, with no nothing, they're wearing masks. So the first thing we can say about who is ICE is they don't want us to know. Anytime someone tries to identify even the place where ICE agents are present, they get gone after. They get harassed, right? You saw this with LA Scanner on Twitter last week, right? So whoever they are, they don't want us to know. Because I think even they realize that there's a possibility that they're doing something. 157 from current shorts and regular stream, the first live. Oh, you're right. You're right. Wait, sorry, I'm trying to see what Spicyba is saying. Because you still you get still. Oh, that's why you thought I was being still. And I'm sure. Wait, but how does that tell you that my noise gate is good? I feel like there's at least a couple of Twitch subs I haven't counted yet. We're asking the question to chat, who is ICE? And I'm curious if anybody has answers. Play Something says Proud Boys. Yeah, now that's possible, right? So we know that Trump pardoned people that were arrested in January 6th. And we know that the architects of what happened in January 6th was a combination of the Proud Boys, I think the 3%ers, and the Oath Keepers, right? So, you know, these are people that went to jail, some of them with pretty severe sentences, and then were offered a mass pardon. In other words, every single person arrested on January 6th was set free with a pardon by Donald Trump. Right? So the answer to who is ICE is we don't know, because they don't want us to know, because they're not proud of what they're doing, and they are afraid of the consequences of being identified as the people doing what they're currently doing. Right? They know on some level that history will not look kindly upon their role in it. And we also know that Donald Trump has freed a whole bunch of criminals. So if you want to, you know, make the leap of logic that Play Something is making and say that that ICE is Proud Boys, you're probably not wrong. You're probably not wrong. It would be amazing, chat, if none of the people that Trump pardoned on January 6th made it into at least being deputized by ICE, right? So you've got criminals who tried to kill cops in Washington, D.C., criminals who tried to abduct senators and members of Congress, criminals who wanted to apparently to kill the vice president, Mike Pence, because he would not help Trump cheat at the election. And the idea that these people would be not only set free, but also empowered to get revenge on their perceived enemies is just the kind of nonsense that Trump would pull. All right. We don't know who's behind that mask, chat, but it's definitely not anyone good. Uh, 117 Sims Racing says, wait, there'll be a big staged incident? Wind Hansen says, are these people being sent back to Mexico? Do we know are they disappearing? Are we seeing any evidence of mass graves? When I'm saying disappearing wind, I'm thinking more along the lines of being deported to a hellhole like the fucking nightmare fascist prison in El Salvador, or to Libya, or to Sudan, right? That's what this country has admitted that it's doing. 200 people were sent to CCOT. They were given no trial. They were not allowed to see a lawyer. When I say they're disappearing, what I mean is that their friends and family don't know where they are. The worst case scenario is, yes, that they end up in mass graves. We don't know that yet. All we know is that they've disappeared, right? Yeah, Trump has been threatening Guantanamo Bay a lot more recently. Fuck Newsom. Oh, this is beautiful, chat. These people are... We need a Discord link, says Omega Star. Okay. Oh, yeah, I probably also need to let some people into Discord. If you've been waiting to get into Discord... Wait, I'm supposed to let... Oh, my God. I can't find... I was supposed to mod some people too. I can't find them though. Let's see. Discord. Oh geez, there's a fucking shit ton of y'all. Y'all have been waiting so patiently too. All right. Lucy Purr, you just got let into Discord. Big ol' cake mix. You just got... Oh my gosh, chat. I might need some more Discord mods. It looks like the ones with perms to let people in have not been... Hell, may need to be replaced. I don't know. Yeah, this is like the 5th time I've come to Discord and just seen, like, nobody's... Alright, so let me give you the Discord link and Twitch chat. Here we go. You're not one, Omega Star. That's not your fault. It's just people that are probably busy right now. But you know, if they're busy, then maybe somebody else should be a Discord mod. I don't know. It's not a bad thing, right? You know, it's like people got busy. No, I probably just need to give permission to more people that are more active in the Discord. It's just something that you got to do from time to time. It's no big deal. I'm not actually... I don't mean to sound like I'm upset with anyone. We haven't covered the Minnesota thing yet, have we? If you don't know, I believe a member of the state legislature in Minnesota was unalived by a real right-wing weirdo. This guy apparently owns a security company, drives around in cop cars, has a cop uniform, and was dressed as a cop, was impersonating a cop when he shot 4 people in Minnesota today, right? I think 3 of them survived, and one of them did not survive. So, if you want to talk about violence, it is happening, but it's not coming from this side of politics. It's coming from the pro-Trump side of politics, which should not surprise you if you've been paying attention to how Trump ran his rallies when he started running, saying, "Get him out of here. I would punch him in the face. If you beat them up, I will pay for your legal bills," right? If you've been paying attention at all, you understand why that's the side that the violence is coming from. Okay, so they do look like they're backing off. Oh my god, I missed what happened. The cops must have either said something, which is probably the way that they should be handling their shit, or there's a possibility that they started firing. There we go. So they're getting flipped off now after they shot at protesters. Wow. Do you see that umbrella getting torn to shit? I mean, that does help. An umbrella, can deflect an object. It doesn't necessarily prevent you from getting hurt, but that's why people are there with umbrellas. So I don't know, chat, did I miss anything? Did I miss anything? Does anybody want to tell me that the protesters somehow caused that? Is anybody going to claim that? All right, so I'm looking at the time and I'm realizing we really got to get to our bonus content. What is winning? Oh my god, I don't know. I know there's like I feel like there's like 2 subs on Twitch that I didn't count. There could be more though. Oh no. We don't have a reliable abacus counter in chat, do we? I want to give you credit for double content if that's what it is. I'm just not sure. I don't know what the score is. Either way, chat. Either way. I'm going to give you, if you're watching us in the live chat, I'm going to give you the chance to hang out with us. The stream is not ending. However, the shorts stream will be ending, right? So this is your chance to join us over on the other side, should you choose to do so. There is the link. I'm like, where's my phone? Oh, there's the phone. All right, if somebody can show me the math that we did get double content today, I will cover two things. Oh my god, Chad, I think we got like 200 new NCC followers. So yeah, I'm about to end the stream on Shorts. All right, so if you're watching on Shorts, you got a little bit of time, a tiny amount of time to jump in, click that link, and join us on the horizontal stream. Otherwise, I'm going to say goodbye to you for tonight. You might get raided into... Oh wait, no, not unless I actually set up the raid. What am I, silly? What am I, goofy? Here, let me... There we go. All right, so we're ending the stream